Philadelphia. Hello, everybody. It is a Wednesday. We are very excited for a lot of things. One, I've got the Reading Soda Works, of course, Bell and the Birdmen Cherry Crush, because I'm just feeling like we're going to crush the Chiefs. Well, that's not true, but I have to say that on a Wednesday. There's more on that coming this week. John Barchard, Vince Quinn, Taylor Kredatus in the internet ether. Vince Quinn, today we are trying to answer this question. Was Howie Roseman lucky, great, or maybe a little bit of both to get this team to the Super Bowl? And I'm going to start out right away with your best friend, Russell Wilson, because that was we all know that. That's the obvious one, the major decider. Did they get lucky, or did they get great with Russell Wilson, in your mind?
They got lucky. They got lucky as shit that he didn't come here. Are you kidding me? I mean, I'm sitting here screaming from the high heavens that they should have been a Super Bowl team if he was here, because they had enough, I thought, if they had a great passer here. And he looks at the team, and he doesn't see that. He decides to go to Denver. Maybe part of it is, too, that, like, Russell Wilson is such a nut, and he wanted his own staff in the building, and he's got his own office. And, like, it turns out you got to go through his agent as a teammate to get a hold of him. Like, he's
LeBron James of the NFL? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Congratulations to him and his dumb face, by the way. Him and Tom Brady can go stick it. Okay, thanks.
All right, that was... I'm going to leave that rant to you. But when it comes to, really, all the Russell Wilson stuff, dude, he could have been here on a team that I thought was great, had a lot of good bones to it. He decided he wasn't going to be here. It changed the trajectory of everything. And I think it's really important to say, as much as I love Howie Roseman and I wanted Russell Wilson, I was way fucking wrong, and he was way fucking wrong, and we're both incredibly lucky that he didn't come here. I mean, it changes the entire universe of all. This team as it exists is not even remotely close to the stratosphere, or it would have been stratospheres above what the team would have been if Russ was here instead.
Of course, and that's why a shrewd GM who can look and see that from miles away, knowing, like, this guy ain't it, when it's not a secret anymore when the entire former Seattle Seahawks defense shows up for game one of the season to see Russell. Oh, no, that wasn't even game one. That was just Russell versus Seattle. That was that horrible Thursday night game in which they won. When the secret's already out and everyone knows that Russell is washed, when Richard Sherman is vocalizing that basically throughout most of the season, I don't think it's a secret that everyone knew that was going to be a mess. And whatever the new Broncos ownership, which is coming in now to fix all that with Sean Payton, is their mess to deal with. Russell Wilson and Jeffrey Lurie use the media beautifully. Morton, Schefter, everyone, and they're brilliant at doing it, because there is no way Russell Wilson was on their mind if you knew that they were trading for A.J. Brown or all the other guys that we'll get into, which I think is very interesting.
Trading for A.J. Brown, like this, you are
they knew
revisionist history major. I mean, like,
go listen to the old pods. I said the same thing then. I think they were doing it just to make sure that no one had any clue that they were in on A.J. Brown. So you had to get a bunch of megaphones and be like, yeah, tie the Eagles to Russell Wilson.
The timelines don't work. Like, all the stuff with Russell Wilson was in March, and then everything that happens after that, and I think that's part of what makes this season so crazy of where they were going to be and how we wanted to go versus where they end up, is like, they want Russ in March. They can't do it. He goes to Denver. Okay, he's off the books. So who do they want at that point? They're looking at Allen Robinson. You know, that was a guy that we were talking about a lot, and I also advocated for him. You know, whatever.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I'd like Allen Robinson. It didn't come together. They wanted to trade for Calvin Ridley. He gets suspended for the year.
Whoops.
Like, all this other shit came and went, and think of the timelines and how crazy this is of how much this all adapts. Devontae Adams this offseason, his trade and all the picks that go with it. Tyreek Hill, all the picks that go with it. That's the stuff that all cascades and leads to A.J. Brown, right? Because it's like the Eagles miss on all these different guys that they want to pay in free agency. They'd have the cap space locked up. A.J. Brown's not a thing at that point. But they can't do it, or they're unable to do it, and the market changes, and then A.J.'s free. Like, it's just all of those things. That's like 4 different things that happened that led to A.J. Brown being available. 100%.
Vince Quinn is so cute that he thinks timelines line up specifically when, like, you know, it's supposed to happen with the league year. There's no way the best friend of there's no way they haven't been talking about this or working out in the offseason and be like, hey, just get, all you got to do is get your general manager on the phone and get me $20 million and I can come there. I'm marking Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie. It's probably a mutual decision on this one, but Taylor Kredatus, we're going to let you be the tiebreaker. I think it was a great move, not lucky. I think they did their research and they just ended up passing on Russell Wilson. What do you think?
They probably want Russell Wilson. Everybody.
Come on, John.
You guys are simps. Both of you guys are simps. That's ridiculous.
Everybody wanted him. There's no way.
Everybody acted as if. I don't think everybody wanted him.
He's been in the playoffs for like the last 10 years, and he'd won a Super Bowl and been to another. Like, yes.
Who's in the Super Bowl and who's not?
Well, I know now,
I know. I'm saying at the time there is no way they're going to shove Jalen Hurts into a corner, full well knowing that there's an opportunity to go get A.J. Brown. That's not going to happen. If you have an inkling that you can get his best friend on the team and be like, all right, hold on, then fuck Russell Wilson. Let's just get rid of that. Plus, we already know at this point, it sounds like the former front office that was in there didn't fucking want him. So, of course, half of the room is going to be split. And then Howie fucking fired all of them. I've said that a million times this offseason. I'm sorry for bringing it up again, but he fired everybody that wanted Russell Wilson, in my opinion. And that's where we are now. Which leads me to, here's where we might be on all on the same scale. You brought him up already. If Calvin Ridley's here, there's no fucking way they're in the Super Bowl. Suspension or no suspension. I know Calvin Ridley's really good, but like he's not A.J. Brown good. At this point, we'd be probably like begging Devontae Smith to be a Hall of Famer at this point because he'd be shining above him. I think they got extremely lucky with that. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah, and think about this. I mean, yeah, AJ's definitely better than Calvin Ridley. So that's the difference of a game or two potentially on the schedule. And at that point, that could cost you the 1 seed, which changes all these different things. Also, through this year, A.J. Brown was really healthy. So, like, he's playing every game, you know? Like, who knows what happens if Calvin Ridley shows up and you're going down that rabbit hole. And that's one of the big things about the Eagles as a whole is, like, just the health factor. But, man, I mean, yeah, Calvin Ridley, dude, this team is, I don't know, 10 wins, 11 wins. They might not win the division over Dallas at that point, given Dallas's record. I mean, like, really, I mean, there's a lot of shit that goes completely different, and having the 1 seed just matters.
Yeah, it's going from, like, Steve Smith to T.O. and Giant Steve Smith, not like Carolina.
Yeah, I love that.
So, yeah.
He's a man.
Maybe that's a little insulting to Calvin Ridley, but like the other, Allen Robinson, we were both on board for. Like, we were down for anything that wasn't, you know, Quez Watkins as wide receiver number 2, you know? And that's pretty insane to think about the growth of all this between that and last year. Absolutely. This is another one that pops up too, guys. Are they just lucky that they are this healthy and they got injured at the right time? Everybody's been throwing that in my face all frickin' year, and I actually don't think that's luck. I don't think it's luck. I think it's what they've been preaching since Chip Kelly left the building, which is sports science, and I don't know. They went through massive overhauls with their for 3 or 4 years, everybody thought they were unlucky, and they realized, oh, yeah, Chris Maragos is suing the medical staff, and Jeff McLean wouldn't stop fucking talking about it for 2.5 years, and it's improved dramatically. Whatever happened there, first of all, if you haven't seen that story, Nick Foles is also, like, testifying along with Maragos to say, like, yeah, they really fucked up my knee and shortened my career, and that probably happened to a lot of guys. There was a lot of people bitching around that time, and they finally found a medical staff that's worth the shit. So I don't think that's luck at all. Yes, it was really bad management post Super Bowl, but now doesn't look like it, doesn't feel like it, and everybody seems really happy and healthy right now.
Yeah, oh no, I mean the whole team is healthy. I mean it's really unbelievable to think about how many people are healthy, and for all these guys, I mean for all the injuries that the Eagles have had, it's crazy. I mean like none of them are a torn ACL, for example. You know, I mean, it happens to every team every single year. You almost like if you would place a bet every single year that a player on the Eagles would tear their ACL, it's like plus 8,000. You know what I mean? Like it's almost not even worth betting because it happens to everybody everywhere all the time. But that didn't happen here. So it's all stuff that these guys can play through, surgery after the season, whatever it's got to be. And that's a big part of why they're here. I mean, they have depth anyway. So when guys have had to step in, they're able to do it. But dude, Lane Johnson being healthy enough where you can't even tell he's hurt is like unbelievable, and he's the most injured guy on the team. That's that guy. Like, wow.
What's the out of curiosity, Vince Quinn? What's the most strenuous thing you've done with a broken crotch, or if you've ever had a broken crotch?
No,
I don't know if you've ever had a broken.
What? I don't know. I mean, I haven't had a broken crotch before. I've never actually broken a bone.
Yeah.
Have you ever broken a bone?
You know what's funny? I've never broken a bone. I've separated, obviously, a bunch of things, but I've never broken a bone.
See,
Isn't that weird?
have you broken a bone?
Both my wrists.
Both? Oh, shit.
Damn, what happened?
Not at the same time.
Skateboarding?
Yeah, I just have really shitty balance, so just.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I want to see some old TK skateboarding footage where he's busting his ass, because truth be told, someone here was a rollerblader. So, you know, back when it was cool and not judgmental at all. But anyway, we're getting off track.
Yeah.
I don't. T, do you think that's? Are we being homers here? You think they just got a little lucky along with being, you know, sports sciencey?
I mean, any team that gets to the Super Bowl, especially with, you know, this young of a core on offense, it's got to be luck. Like winning championships is a ton of luck. That's just how it is. If you don't say luck's not a part of it, then you're just lying to yourself.
It's a part of it. 100%. I just, you know, I don't know. Maybe the offensive line's too good, and that's why everybody's healthy. Jalen Hurts is too smart, and that's why everybody's healthy. Whatever it is, it's not like luck is involved without a doubt. It's football. You never know. People, you know, fucking what was his name? Stephen Tulloch got his ACL crunched celebrating a sack. So like, yeah, who knows? I just
could be worse for Jalen too. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, big time. And I don't think he's probably in a position to play, honestly, if this staff isn't, you know, worth half a shit. But yeah, can you imagine if Russell Wilson got injured here and then like had his personal doctors come around doing high knees? Ugh, awful. 215-509-5833. Or jump in the Discord, bellthebirdmen.com. Saw some people texting last night and found that link. So appreciate that as always, and wondering what your takes are on this too. The other one, see, I don't know if this is just great planning. Saints being in cap hell, and you get spoiled rich from them. Not only you get a starting safety, but you get a top 10 pick. And to me, there's no luck involved in that. That's just waiting for teams to be bad. Howie's been doing that with the Saints for a very long time. I think that I'll just lump these two in together, because that and Bradbury, the Giants being in cap hell and waiting for Dave Gettleman's, you know, bubble to pop, certainly pop and help the Eagles this year. So would you say any of that's luck, or that's just good timing for the Eagles?
Yeah,
here?
I mean, I would say that's a lot less luck, because it's other teams doing things that, like, it's bad team management and good team management, right? Like, they had the cap space to sign Bradbury still. They could have gone into this offseason and gone, hey, well, we have all this money left. Let's go burn it. Let's sign this guy. Let's sign that guy. Let's, like, for example, Ndamukong Suh, right? They could have signed Ndamukong Suh in the offseason and gone, listen, dude, we think we're going to be pretty good, like good enough for you to sign with us. Let's give you some cash right now. Here's $8 million or $7 million, because I think he got $5 million in the middle of the season. So here's like $8 million. Come on down. That's a salary for Bradbury, essentially. Like, maybe he's not on the team. So being patient in that way, leaving yourself room, knowing that a guy like that might pop up. I mean, obviously the 2017 comp is LeGarrette Blount. He signed in like June. You know, I mean, that guy signed really late in the NFL calendar, and he cost nothing, and they just went on a ride. So everybody just kind of ignored him on the market. But for Bradbury, I mean, yeah, the Giants didn't think they were going to win. They believed that they sucked. They wanted to tank. They cut him to tank, and then they got their ass kicked in the playoffs. So nice work. Nice work, dude.
Yeah. I would say the Saints is nowhere close to luck. That seems very calculated and planned. I think Bradbury is actually pretty goddamn lucky. You know, like, if I could separate those two things, Bradbury, I mean, they wanted to hold on to him, and I'm not sure even if I'm Brian Dable and sitting there be like, well, do you maybe want to trade Daniel Jones and just kind of tank and hold on to a good corner for a year, or do you like? And I would say that if Bradbury is looking for, if he was the only guy here, I think I would say he's probably not going to have a good of his year. Can we agree on that? If Slay's not next to him, I don't know. But because he knew he could come and hang here and just be that ball hawking guy and make those mistakes and do what he wants to do, I don't think he has as good of a year, but I also just think they got lucky. and thank God that they did.
Yeah, and everybody's. I mean, Bradbury's lucky, right? Like he ends up with the Eagles. He gets a great defensive line that has some of the greatest sack totals in the history of the league. He is paired with a great secondary and defense overall, so he could be aggressive, and he's aggressive for shorter spurts. You know, you don't have to worry about covering a guy in man coverage for 6 seconds because your team just can't get home. Like, those are such advantages, man. So for him, he's going to get paid, and he deserves it. But that's what happens when you're in an ideal scenario and you're a great player. So he's lucky. The Eagles are lucky, but Howie always works the cap well, and that's part of the stuff with the Saints. I mean, have you seen this delusional shit where they want to trade for Derek Carr? What are you doing? Call it a day, New Orleans Saints. Give it up. It is over.
I don't know, man.
What are they trying to do?
I would absolutely, if I was the Saints, I would absolutely trade for Derek Carr. Are you kidding me? In that division? Yes, sir.
No.
Anybody can win that division with Derek Carr.
No,
now.
The Saints can't. They're $60 million over the cap now. That's without Derek Carr. $60 million.
Hey, you know what they're going to do? They're going to go, hey, Raj, I need you to increase that cap a little more than you thought next year. Get us out of cap hell in 2024, would ya? Thank you.
Yeah, they're gonna be,
they'll find a way.
They're going to be in cap hell in 2020, like they already were last year. They were $80 million over last year and restructured and made all these moves to try to win now, which was delusional, and none of it worked. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to do this again this year. They'll do it again next year because now they're going to add Derek Carr. That'll put him at like $80 million over for sure, if not 90. I mean, fuck it. Let's top last year. Go for 90, Saints. Go for 90. And then, yeah, they're just going to do this every single year. It's terrible management. It's not understanding your window. It's not appreciating who you are. Like Howie was able to just say, I'm going to eat all of this money. We're going to suck for a year, at least take a step back for a year, and then we're going to rebuild this thing. I mean, most dead cap money in the history of the league because he knows that era is over and he's starting over. The Saints fundamentally do not understand that at all. And he took advantage of that, but that's him understanding the game and them not. So, like, Howie has a ton of skills, and to me, Howie Roseman right now, regardless of whatever happens on Sunday, Howie Roseman's a Hall of Famer. He's like one of the best to ever do it. He's revolutionized the sport from a contract level, and as much as that's like nerdy shit, that's the game, folks. I mean, players get signed and traded and whatever based on what you got to spend, and everybody's playing on the same rules. So you got to max that out, and Howie does it, and that's why they're here again. So, like, yeah, he's a master.
Yeah, and dude, if he wins this, which I think he's going to, we all do, first ballot, 100%. I would even say he doesn't even need it at this point. You know, like he is. Everyone's got to put in work. Everything's got to work out. You got to hire the right coaches and blah, blah, blah. Yes. I mean, that's basically, I'm just describing what Howie Roseman's job is. And he has hit it out of the park. Even when he was sucking at it, he still had this vision of getting to this point where it's like, no, and he has, whether you want to call it ruthlessness, which clearly some of that was going on, or just being like, no, guys, we have to do it this way and sticking to your guns and primarily being right nearly every single time, even though, like, yeah, maybe there's a season or two that creeps up on you where you're not expecting that to happen, but there's longevity every single time. He's defended this franchise from Chip and made sure it didn't go crazy. He's defended this franchise from Doug after winning a Super Bowl and saying we need to go this way and all the personnel that helped him. Like, it keeps evolving and it keeps adapting. And I don't think many GMs do that. And not many GMs have the position of Howie Roseman either, where he's the only one that the owner actually trusts. And that does not happen with GMs. You saw what happened obviously, when AJ gets traded here, GM gets fired. Big time. You miss the playoffs, that's it. Like, you don't have the ability to go, I can correct this and make mistakes. That doesn't happen anymore. Nor does walking up to, I can't remember who he walked up to. Was it somebody in the front office with a piece of paper and saying, give me the job. You know, he's proved so much of you need to be a football guy to have this spot, and it's just like we talked about on Monday. It's just not true anymore. You don't sit there and watch tape. You don't do any of those things. You manage the club the way that the data is telling you, like a good business does. And they are excellent at doing all of it. And I don't think you can include Howie and not Lori in the same breath. They are two of the most amazing sports owners, and they just happen to be in Philadelphia, and that's why we love it. This has been great.
Yeah, it's been amazing, man, and like that is the single biggest constant advantage that the Eagles have. They've been well run, and if you want to go back even like to the Joe Banner time, a lot of people don't like Joe Banner, but he kept the core of that team together for 10 years, and they went to 5 NFC championship games. Like, you got to give Joe Banner some fucking credit, and that's where Howie was when he got started. So all of these things tie together. I mean, and on some level, it's just Lori runs a great ship and understands what needs to be done, which is why Julian's going to be great. So, yeah, it's just cool to sit back and think of, like, how crazy this ride has been, all the things that, like, felt like big swings that didn't come through, and how that leads to big opportunities, and there is a lot of luck involved, but, like, I believe in this team coming back and doing it again at this core more than I believe in the 17 core. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and he's the reason because of that. It's just when we wake up after the Super Bowl and realize that there's, it'll always be harder to get back to this moment from here on out for a bunch of different reasons, but it won't be as hard. And especially if the Saints are begging for Derek Carr to, like, if that's the next challenge you have in the NFC, you're going to see some AFC quarterbacks finally just like, all right, fine, we're not dealing with this mess. I'm sure there's one coming for the Colts as well. So should be an exciting offseason, but just know this, as long as Howie's here, I'm great. I feel great. And all credit to all of this. I mean, this is mostly just greatness, not luck here. So looking forward to tomorrow's episode, fellas. We'll be in studio. We'll be hanging out. And again, not only should you be, on the move and be finding these wonderful Bell and the Birdmen Cherry Crush shows, which you can find at John and Molly's in New Jersey and a bunch of other places, which we'll start putting up on the old Google Maps. But that beautiful cap in which is on Vince Quinn's head right now, I'd rather be watching the birds. Full Kelly Green, full corduroy, 20% off right now just by going to bellandthebirdmen.com. That actually helps us the most out of everything that we are telling you for the podcast, for the show, and for YouTube. There is no better hat to be wearing at a Flyers game, as we found out this week. And the idea of the hat actually was hilarious because it came from the Phillies' like July and August run, and I was just like, God damn, I'd rather be watching the birds. So that has just been true for us since the beginning of time, and it's just a great hat. 20% off, which makes a $40 hat just $32. It is a steal, and it's one of the best hats in the world, so we appreciate that. Vince, Taylor, anything else before we leave?
No, that's all I got, baby. I'm finally selling this couch in my office. I can't wait.
Woohoo!
It's been like 3 months.
T, we'll see you tomorrow. Any fun things you got planned for the rest of the day?
I'm just waiting for my Christmas presents.
Ah, yes. Which is amazing that we will be celebrating Christmas post-Super Bowl because thank you, Fanatics, for ruining all my good times. But we will see you in studio, and we will be breaking down the birds. And, of course, we gotta pump everybody up at some point, too. So looking forward to that. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye.